Hey everyone, my name is Ryan Bates. I'm a solution architect here at Databricks, and today I'm going to walk you through exactly how to set up Microsoft Teams to integrate with your Databricks Genie Space. I'm going to follow along this blog that I wrote with the help of a few others, but it's going to be a really nice how-to guide to walk through every single step so you can see exactly how to figure it out. So let's get going. First things first, I have a Databricks workspace that I spun up using the Databricks free edition. It has a Genie Space already configured and ready to go. So we're going to use this Genie Space, but you could use any one that you'd like. When you download the code, I'm going to go ahead and just open it up so we can see. There's a handful of things in the config.py file that we're going to need. So I'm just going to start copying things down as I have them. For example, here is the link or the ID for the Genie room that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in Genie Space here. I'm going to get my host, which is going to be this. And I'm going to go make a token from the developer settings really quickly. Let's just generate it. I'll call it Genie API. Let's copy that. And save. Okay, so that is pretty much all of the Databricks things that we need to configure this and get it going. Let's head over to the Azure portal and get started creating that information. So we are going to need a handful of things from Azure. It's going to be a resource group, a service plan, a web app, and an Azure bot. So those are the things that we're going to create in order. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to create a resource group. You may already have one, which is totally fine, but in my Azure subscription, I do not. So let's create it. And I'm going to call this Genie-resource group. And I'll just keep it in US West 2, which is totally fine. You can keep it in any region that you'd like. But the key is to make sure that everything lives in the same resource group and also lives in the same region. So I'm going to navigate to this resource group and I'm going to create everything else that I need in the same resource group. So let's make our app service plan. And it's in Genie RG, so I'm going to call it Genie App Service Plan. I'm going to choose West US 2. And for pricing, I've just chosen the basic B1. You can choose any which one you'd like, but this is the one that I had the most success with when I was testing and setting it up. Let's go ahead and create it. So that's done. Let's go back to the Genie resource group and refresh. Should be there, succeeded. Let's refresh one more time. Pretty sure it's there. Let's go ahead and create the web app anyway, because I'm pretty sure it will be there. Okay, so I'm going to call this Genie Web App Sample. You can call it anything that you want. So here, it's going to give it a unique default host name. I typically just turn it off. It's much easier to remember this URL. I'm going to choose Python 3.13, choose the same region again. Yep, so here's my service plan. So it is here, Genie App Service Plan, and I'm going to review and create the web app. Create. So while that is deploying, let's just go through and look through the documentation here. So before I go and create my bot, I'm going to do some configuration in the web app. So we need to give the web app a startup command to tell it, hey, when we spin this up, this is what I want you to do. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this for now. and head back here. Yep, it is complete. So let's go to my resource here. So this is a web app that is live and up and running. But if I go to my configuration, let's go ahead and put that in. Sometimes it gives it an extra space, like it'll be something like this, and I would just backspace and make sure that the start command looks good. Custom error page requires a premium app service plan. I have never used that, so if you need it, I would change your service plan, but it's not something that I've ever needed. So that is done, and the next thing we're going to need to do is set up our environment variables, which we can do a handful of things. This one's going to tell us, hey, when I run this, go ahead and actually install everything that you need when we push the app up. So let's do that as deployment true. And literally I just wrote the word true right there, just like that. And I need this one here. Let's put one more in for logging in case you need it. It's just good to have. So that's going to be 3. Let's apply and confirm it. And I would just make sure, yep, these look good. Okay, so our configuration is good. Our environment variables look good. So now I'm going to go back to my resource group and let's go create this bot here. Create. And I'm going to call this the bot in Genie sample bot. Should be fine. Global's fine. For the pricing tier, because we're using Teams, it's a Microsoft channel, you can use the free channel, but if you had something else, a third-party app or something else, you would use the standard pricing, but free is free. Oh, let me go back really quickly one more time. Okay, so we are using the type of bot is a single tenant bot. You can use a user assigned managed identity. The authentication is going to be a little bit different, and we're not using that in the code that I wrote. So we're just going to use single tenant here, and that's going to look good, and create. So as this spins up, this is going to be the next pieces of information that we're going to get are all going to come from our bot. So I'm going to show you as soon as the bot is up and running, that's what we're going to grab. So let's go to the resource here. And we'll do some configuration. So this is going to be where all that information lives. So for example, this app ID, I'm going to copy this and it's going to go right here. The tenant ID is going to go in our tenant ID. And for the app password, if you click manage password right here, it's going to show you the certificates and secrets that exist. And this one was already here when I spun up the bot, but I'm going to create a new one and call it Genie API. You can choose however often you want it to live. I'm going to just keep it with recommended. And this value right here is the one that you want, and you can just click copy to clipboard, head right over here, and put it right here, and save. That's it. Like that is all the config that you need for the app.py file to get ready to go. The last thing I want to do before I go ahead and push this app is I want to connect the web app to the bot and tell the bot, hey, this is where you're going to go listen. So if I navigate back to the web app, this is the default domain for this web app, which I'm going to copy. I head back to my bot and go back to my configuration in this messaging endpoint URL, that's where this is going to go. So if I go back and say this is going to be https:/API/messages, and that is all we need, and click apply. And we are good to go. Everything is configured properly now. So what I like to do before we start pushing things up is I like to go to the web app and open the log stream. I'm going to duplicate this window for 1 second. I'll explain why, but the log stream is going to be here, and I'm going to leave that open just so I can see what's going on when I push. But for getting everything set up to push, the command that we are going to run to get it going is this AZ web app up and give us all this information, which all lives in the resource group. So I like to open the resource group, have it all here to make sure that I run it exactly right. So let's head over to VS Code, and I'm going to open a terminal here. So one thing that you're going to need to, let's clear that out. One thing that you're going to need to do is make sure, yep, everything is good, we're in the right directory, is that you have the Azure CLI installed. So if you don't have it, you can homebrew, so you can do a brew install, I think it's just AZ or Azure CLI or whatever it is, but make sure the Azure CLI is set up. So if I type in AZ, let's do a version, let's make sure. Cool, that looks fine. Don't need to mess with that. So I'll just do AZ, login. It's going to open up a browser, and I'm going to make sure that I've logged in. Close that out. And so here it's going to say, hey, if you have multiple subscriptions, in this example, I only have one. So I could type the number 1, or I could just click enter. It's cool. Now I'm connected, and it knows exactly where I'm going to push this. So I'm going to copy this command, and let's go to a text editor. Here. Paste. So now I'm going to go back to this resource group and just start filling in the blanks here. So my name of the web app is going to be Genie Web Sample. The resource group is GenieRG. The plan is Genie App Service Plan. Let's capitalize that. The runtime I chose is 3.13, and my SKU is B1. So if you had chosen a different app service plan SKU, this is where you would change that here. Genie Web App Sample, GenieRG, everything looks good. So now that I'm done, let's head back to our log stream. Log stream's here, ready to go. Nothing's happening, which is totally fine. And now I'm going to paste this command, and I'm going to execute it. And so this is where we're going to watch for this install to make sure that everything runs correctly. And I'm going to make this a little taller. But I'll kind of walk you through things to look for and what would be important and where some errors might be. So let's let this warm up. Okay, so now it is officially building the app. And as it starts building the app, everything's good. If I had, if I mistyped something or had an error in this command, I wouldn't have gotten to this point. So it's starting to build the app, all's well is good. And now I'm going to start focusing on the logs, and you can kind of keep an eye on what's going on here as it builds. And we can look for things that are errors and just make sure there's a few key things that we're like, yep, those are exactly the things that we're looking for. So keep an eye out for those things. So at this point, Python has been extracted. It's ready to go. It's creating a virtual environment, exactly what we want it to be doing. The next important piece that we're looking for is to start running pip install, which means we've set it up exactly right, and now it's going to go install all of the packages needed from the requirements.txt file. So at this point, I see no new trace in the past 3 minutes. Pip install is still going, and if I wanted to just check on the status of things, you can see it's on the VS Code side. We're still building the app, which is totally fine, so it's just cruising along. Okay, so that definitely took longer than times I've seen before, but I can see no new trace, 1, 2, 3, or 5 minutes. And now if I start to scroll down, I can actually see here's the pip install running. It's getting all the necessary packages, and everything looks like it is running great. Everything is good. Here's everything I can see. If I wanted to check and see if there was some specific issue that I had, and I go back to VS Code, yep, it's still building. It hasn't started the app yet. But we are in a really good spot. The pip install ran great. So now it says it's done. Let's check and see on the code here. It should be close to starting the app. Okay, so now it looks like we have finished with that. That took definitely longer than I've seen it take, but again, as long as you're following the process and keeping an eye on things, all is well. And it should say we should be done building the app soon. Okay, so once now this is done, I just checked again. I can see it is officially starting the site. So the build is done, and now we're actually going to start the site. Okay, so after a few minutes of this, now the app has started. I can kind of see it running here. It's set up, certificates, our build is running. If I go back to VS Code, so I think this is where I've had some disconnect where VS Code will tell me, it says it's still ongoing, which is totally fine. Sometimes this spins up way faster and everything's good to go, and VS Code will give me a failure error. So the core is looking at the logs, like that's the source of truth. So I would just keep an eye on that. So I'm done with VS Code. I'm not going to need it anymore. I'm just going to keep an eye on things in the Azure log stream, and we'll wait for it to complete. Okay, so now that this is done, if I scroll in here, I can see this is get ready for requests, blue. So the app is up and running. It's installed. And if I go back, I'm going to keep the log stream open for a second. And let's go to the bot. So if I go to my sample bot here, the way that I'm going to test this and verify that this is correct, and there's more configuration you need to do to get this set up for Teams. But if I go to the test in web chat here, welcome to the Databricks Genie Bot. If I see that, everything's working great. So I know the connection to the bot is ready to go. So really quickly, let's go back to this Genie Space, and I want to see some examples of what to ask. And I also want to make sure that I was going to see if I could start the warehouse, but it's probably fine. So the first thing I'm going to ask is just, tell me about the data sets. And it's going to run. And if I go back to, let's send that here. If I go to the history tab, I should see, tell me about the data sets, right? So that message just went through. And here is the example output telling me about all of the tables that are in that Genie Space, which are all the same. So what was our revenue May 2024? So I'm going to go show me all products. That's what I'm going to ask. Show me all products. And while that runs, I can see here is the specific output, and I can actually see if I wanted to go into Databricks and see what query was actually run, that's where I would go. So here are the results here. So everything's working great. The setup is complete. We're ready to go. The only other thing you would need to do is set this up in Teams. One of the things that I had run into when I first set this up is I could see welcome to Genie Bot, tell me about the data sets, and the response that I got was no data available. So if you were to go look at the logs here, I can actually see all the API calls that are happening. I can see the IP address of Azure connecting to Databricks and all those things. And this is, I believe my free version is in AWS. So it is going from Azure Teams to AWS Databricks. So there are no issues there. But internally, we have IPs that are required to be whitelisted for our demo environment. So you'll see IP address not possible, not available. So what you need to do is you need to whitelist if there is a security IP access control list set up inside of your Databricks. You simply need to use the Databricks CLI to then add those IP access control lists. So in Databricks Free Edition, that's not available, but I just wanted to show you an example of how that works and how to configure it if that is something your organization uses. So if you go to any notebook inside of Databricks and you open up the terminal down here, if you don't have the CLI installed in the terminal, you'll just need to install the CLI. Let's get this going. And so if I was going to whitelist the IP addresses, here's the command that I would use: Databricks IP access list create, and then you name it, whatever you want to name it. And here's all the IP addresses that you would use. So the way to get those IP addresses is if I go back to the web app here on the networking piece, they should be down here. Yep. So here's the outbound IP addresses. You don't need the additional ones. You would just copy these, and then I would basically say, just reformat them and have ChatGPT say, here's my sample. Can you put the IP addresses in? And you're on the way. So that is it. That's all the config needed. It took a little bit longer than I was expecting, but patience is a virtue, and slow and steady wins the race. So good luck to all, and I hope you have a great time using Genie with Teams. Thanks a lot.